All right, so I've talked about this before, but honestly, it's still one of the most misunderstood things in ToneX. And that's the difference between a tone model and a preset. I still get messages and comments from players confused about what's what, and I get it, it's not always obvious. So today I want to explain the difference clearly, show you how it affects what you hear, and give you a few quick examples that I'm going to be using my latest Match Club 35 Ultimate tone models on, so let's get right to it. So let's start with the tone model. This is the raw capture, the amp or amp cab or maybe amp with a pedal in front, just as it was dialed in during capture. No added EQ, no reverb, no delay, no noise gate, no volume tweaking, just a snapshot of the tone exactly as it was captured. Here's a quick example of what that might sound like utilizing one of my tone models from my Imperial King Double Cream Ultimate Collection, which is available up as one of the Tone Partner offerings. So great little tone there, but you notice, as I mentioned, it doesn't have any of those sweeteners in it. So this is just as this was captured. Well, what is a preset? A preset uses that tone model as the core ingredient, but adds things like EQ shaping, volume leveling, reverb, maybe compression, noise gate, some modulation, delay, whatever the end user feels that tone needs. It's basically going to be a curated version of the raw tone, probably more playable, more polished, and often better suited to a live mix or recording session, or just the person's ideals. So I could take something like this, come in here and add in a touch of room reverb, maybe put some of my favorite settings on this. I could maybe add a dab of tape delay at some settings I like. I'll come to the compressor and I will just add a little bit of this in post and maybe come in and even tweak my noise gate so that it is working better. And now we've taken that raw tone model and we've added these sweeteners to it. We get a really beautiful tone. We could also come into our advanced settings and mess around with the gain and maybe play around with the presence and depth as well. If we felt it needed it. Now we could also then come up here, quickly hit the save button, choose a location. I'm just going to put this in no folder here and I'll call this JS, my initials, and we'll say Imperial King Tweaked. And I will save that. So now when I come over to my preset tab, you can see here that what is highlighted is with the spelling error that I put in there and all, the Imperial King Tweaked. So I can play this, move away from that preset, return back to it, and I still have all of those tweaks saved as a preset, but I can always head back over to the tone model, hit my reset button on my advanced tab, and you'll notice it makes everything go back to its default position. And I end up back with that raw tone model again. So why does all this matter? Well, this is where things can go sideways. If you're loading just the raw tone model like I just did, when going to, let's say, ToneNet and downloading something from there, and you wonder why maybe it sounds dark or too loud or too dry or too gainy, well, that's because you're hearing it completely untouched. The preset is where things can come to life. We can work on tone balancing, adding ambience, mix readiness, just to have it work better. Some compression, some modulation, some delay, and so on and so forth. So for example, when I deliver my third-party tone models that are purchased from my website, they come in a preset form because that's the only way we can really deliver those. So what you're going to notice is I always start off with a basic noise gate setting, a basic compression setting, and some basic reverb just to get the user up and running. So when you load my tone models and you're going to get this kind of a thing. Where you're going to have a tiny bit of sweetening already in there. But again, if we go over to the tone model tab and just come up to all tone models, you'll see that that particular tone model is selected. If I come to my advanced tab and hit reset, that resets that all the way back to just its raw tone model. which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is going to be very dry and just as it was captured. But coming back to our presets, if I go back into that preset, you'll see it's still using that raw tone model, as we can see down here in the info, but it's with these sweeteners and whatever else I decide to tweak in it, and then I can simply save that as a preset, which will then be listed under my preset tab here, whereas the tone models will just show our raw tone models. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is if I do have settings on one preset and I flip over to the tone model and I switch to something else, you'll notice that it keeps those same reverb, compression, noise gate settings that I had. But if I come down here and hit the reset button, we end up right back to our raw tone model again. So basically that's it. That's the key. Tone model equals raw capture. Preset equals potentially playable version shaped around that model. If you ever loaded a tone model and thought it didn't sound exactly like a demo you heard of it, now you might know why. The examples you heard today were from a few of my different collections, which I will have the links to below. If you want to check them out, you can just click those. To wrap things up, here's a quick in the mix example using some of the tone models from one of my latest collections, one that you heard today, which is the Match Club 35 Ultimate Tone Model Collection, again available at the links below. Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, and share it with anybody you think would be interested in hearing it. Happy tone chasing, and we'll see you next time.